Ready? Yes, good evening, viewers. It's 6:29, and we are just going to talk to your viewers. Welcome to Green Card with Gehi, and I hope you all are doing well. Your family members are safe, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. And today we're going to talk about some very important issues on Green Card with Gehi. So, Green Card with Gehi will continue every Monday and every Wednesday. And the best way to reach us is actually via email. Firstly, I need to apologize because sometimes it becomes impossible for us to answer every single call. So therefore, the best way to actually kind of get your question answered is to email us at info@gehi.com. And it's going to be kind of, seen by all of you. And again, I'm going to repeat, it's info@gehi.com. So we'll do our best to kind of answer you because of the high volume of calls and the wonderful response that you all have been giving us. So therefore, it becomes difficult for us to answer every single call. So emails would be much better. And secondly, I want to make it clear that our responses are meant for people who are looking to retain an attorney. But if you're just kind of looking to just get a free answer, then I think you have every right to call uscis.gov and get your answers from there. Or if you have a corporate lawyer, then the corporate lawyer should be answering those questions. So we'll be beginning soon, and welcome to Green Card with Gehi. So today's topic, as we had mentioned earlier, it's going to be about EB1 and EB2 national interest waiver categories. So why is today's show important? For a couple of reasons. So we're going to split it up as to who can benefit from the EB1A, EB1B, and the third category is the EB2 category under the national interest waiver. So there are people who watch the show and they're absolutely brilliant. And these people are located within the United States, and some of them are located outside the United States. So for example, you might be watching this show from London today. You might be watching the show from Netherlands today. You might be watching the show from Africa. You might be watching the show from Guyana. You might be watching the show from India, from any country. So the good news is that the EB1 category and the EB2 category can be very helpful for people to directly secure the green card based upon their own merit. So I'm going to speak very slowly so people can understand. So today's program is going to be so interesting that it's going to benefit a lot of people who are within the United States, as well as people who are outside, who want to come to America directly on a green card without a sponsor. So the first thing that people think about is that I need a sponsor. The answer is that you may not need a sponsor because you can self-sponsor yourself for a green card if you are an absolutely brilliant human being. And there are many brilliant people on this planet, and they think that, the thing is that it's still going to be difficult because they do not know the procedure. So EB1 category is where you don't need a labor certification if you're absolutely brilliant. And EB1A is one category. Second one is EB1B, that's meant for outstanding researchers and professors. And the third category is under the EB2 category for the national interest waiver. So now, what is the EB1A? EB1A means, let's take a simple example because it's going to be difficult for me to use the legalese and people ask me to explain everything in simple. You're very well known in your country and you are that Mr. Brilliant and you won the Booker Prize, or you won the Nobel Prize, or you won an international championship in boxing, and you become like the Diego Maradona of the football game. Do you know the good thing is that you may qualify under the EB1A because if you're a Diego Maradona, if you're a well-known actor like Shah Rukh Khan, if you're like a Brad Pitt of your country, and if you're very well known, of course you have been, a lot of articles have been written about you internationally. You've received that level of fame. You might have won the Grammy Award, or you might have won the Oscar Award, you might have won some other internationally known award. plus you've been a judge of international competitions. Or if you're a professor, you've written something which is very much published in international journals. If you're from IIT in India, and if you're absolutely brilliant, and if you were asked to speak at a conference in London about the issues that are very much related to international importance, then think about the EB1A. So what we spoke about, you've been the judge of others in a very prestigious level. You cannot be judging a small children's class and say, yes, I qualify. They want to see that you are someone who's high up. So if you're going to a national kind of event wherein you're the best of the best and you've been chosen by that organization to come in and judge a competition, that's number one. You have these great publications in international science magazines. I'm just talking about science right now. It can also be in the arts. It can also be in technology. It can be in the scientific field. Plus, you can also be an artist. If you're a well-known singer, think about that. You're a well-known actor, think about that. If you're a Sushmita Sen, think about that. If you're a Shah Rukh Khan, think about that. If you're well-known in Pakistan, think about that. If you're well-known and exactly in the West Indies, if you're well-known in the UK, think about that, folks. So it's like, take an example about this guy, like he has these big stack of degrees sitting with him. Plus he was published everywhere. Newspapers follow him. He was in the New York Times, or he was in some well-known magazines, and he was an expert writing about AIDS. That's great. If you're a doctor, if you've been written about extensively about your work, brilliant in your research. And if you've done some research on AIDS, if you're well known for your research on COVID-19, see how I'm thinking. So think about the EB1A category. And the easy way to reach us is info@gehilaw.com. And with due respect, I try my best to return every call. But if I miss sometimes, my sincere apologies. I'm a human being. So that's why I tell people, reach me at info@gehilaw.com and only send us if you're serious about your case. And with due respect, everyone who's been on the show has been fantastic, very respectful, very nice. If you're someone who's extremely grouchy, my answers, I may not be the lawyer for you, because I'm here to help people who want to work with me and who work together, who are my dear friends. So that's how we work with you. And another thing is that if you're brilliant, think about a few important things. You have these scholarly publications. You have these fantastic reviews written about you. You've been a judge. You've been well known in your field of endeavor. And secondly, you've gotten this major prize. I'm not asking you to be a Nobel Prize winner. I'm asking you to be a high level winner. So now let's divide it into two parts. As I mentioned, this is such an interesting topic. We're going to have one more version of it. Now you're looking at the show in the UK, in Australia, in Germany, in France. Think about the EB1A. Look it up online. Or think about the national interest waiver, that you have a solution to a problem in the US or in the world. So how I would think, I did my research on AIDS right now, for example, and my research will be nationally known in the US. I did my research on COVID. It's going to help a lot of people. I'm a well-known actor, and I'm going to make a difference in society. Think about those issues. If you're well-known in your field of endeavor, you may not even have to show a whole lot. So rest, the lawyer can discuss with you one after another. And for example, some people tell me, do I need a PhD? The answer is no. If you have a big award, that's enough. You have a presidential award. If you have a well-known award, and if Prince Charles has patted your back, Queen Elizabeth has patted your back, or your prime minister has recognized you, and you are someone that you think special, think about basically the self-sponsorship to the green card. And it's not that difficult. But please don't come to me with credentials that, oh, I participated in my school. I'm going to tell you, no, don't waste your money. You don't qualify. National in your country, yes, I would consider that. International, superb. See how I'm thinking. Written in the New York Times, excellent. Written in the UK, an article in the BBC, written about yourself in the BBC, great. Times of India, great. But it should be something that should be of a very high level. And there are so many people in this world, so many of them who are so brilliant that they forget this category. So look into this category rather than spending your money under this investor visa category, wherein you have to spend $900,000. Think about the EB1. If you are not Mr. Bright, probably your wife or your husband is Mr. Bright, Mr. Intelligent, working for NASA right now, and admitted to top prestigious institutions. That's how you think about the national interest waiver. And as I said, I'm trying to talk about both of them at the same time, because when you send me an email, I'll tell you which one you qualify for. And the good thing is, the reason I'm mixing this up, do you know sometimes if you don't qualify for one category, you may qualify for the other one. And you can also apply for a green card under both the categories. Again, I'm going to reiterate, you do not need a sponsor. It's good to have a sponsor. You can self-sponsor. Now you're sitting in a park over there, in Australia, and you're listening to me over here. You'll say, oh my God, I didn't even know about this. And I went to this fantastic conference in Berlin where the world was there, and I was patted on my back and I got this great award, from the international community. And plus I was a judge in London for the same thing. Fantastic. Think about it. I have 35 publications. I have 15 publications. And I know this great professor. I know these 20 to 25 people who are going to write about me. And I was published. Look at how I'm talking. I'm not going to explain the law today because it can get complicated. So at the end of the day, if you're applying under the national interest waiver, you have to show that your scope in America is going to be national in scope. As I said, AIDS is a fantastic example. There's a lot of research that has been done. COVID is a great example. Fantastic. And if you're writing about national security, great topic to work on. Or talk about an area which can help people, human beings, number one. Secondly, if you're this great boxer in your country, think about this category, folks. And tell me that you competed in this international boxing match. You're a great kind of basketball player. You're a great football player. I am open to listening to you. I'm not saying that you have to be a scientist. You may be a great writer. You may be an athlete. You may be a great performer. So the category is open. An easy way to do it, send me an email at info@gehilaw.com, and then I can start reviewing it, and I'll be happy to look at it, and we can start talking from there. So the good thing about the EB1 category, EB1A and EB1B, let's talk about these outstanding researchers and professors under EB1B. We have that great professor who's in the United States. You have these 25, 30 publications, and you are in Cornell. If you're in Yale, think about this category, folks. Because you already have that kind of, tag with you that you are in an Ivy League. Think about how I'm thinking. You're in Princeton, you're in Yale, you're in Harvard. Think about that, folks. That helps a lot. And contact me that if you have these 15 or 20 publications, even if you are in the United States or outside the United States. You're in India, you're in Pakistan, you're in Germany, you're anywhere, this may be the category you might be thinking. You are this great actor, and you think that, yes, it's time for me to move to America. I want to at least get my green card, and eventually I want to settle in America. Think about this category. If you're a Hrithik Roshan, you're a Shah Rukh Khan, or if you're like someone who's very well known in your country, think about this as a category that you want to. If you're a well-known kind of British artist, think about it. Like for example, I'm taking an example of Charlie Chaplin. He would qualify. Of course, he was well known. So I'm taking every kind of example over here to make sure that exactly, that you can think about these categories and get your green card. You're in Canada right now, and you want to come to the United States. This is something that I would look into very carefully. And a few other things that I would do is I would think about some other issues like, I would think about, whether I need a labor certification. The answer is no. What do I need to prove myself in this category? That you are Mr. Brilliant. Send us an email. We'll look into this, and we'll definitely make sure that, we do our best. And of course, you can email us about this category. And other than that, let's talk about the second part of this. If you are in the US, and if you're losing your H-1B visa, if you're losing, your status right now, and if you're brilliant, that's the other way to look at the EB1A, the EB1B, and the national interest waiver, and especially if you're not from India and China, because it's backlogged. The category for India and China is very much backlogged. But if you're from any other country, That's it. There are some questions here. What countries are not eligible to get the EB1 and EB2 visa? I live in Canada and do not know. Question is, Canada, you're eligible. EB1 and EB2 are eligible for every country, but the only thing is that there may be a delay. So that's what I'm trying to say. People are asking questions. So therefore, I'm saying that if you are in Canada, this is great for you. And this is really going to be very helpful for all of you. And make sure that, this is something that you can get your direct green card, and it's going to be fantastic for you. And I'm going to read the questions which people are sending away. Where can I go for COVID to register for these visas? You will have to first get your petition approved. So the thing is that what you'll have to do is to get your petition approved. The first thing you need to do is to retain a lawyer. And after the petition is approved, then only you can go to the consulate, but they're not going to just directly give you a green card. The way the procedure works, we have to apply for your green card. And after that, the government, that's known as the Form I-140, and we'll have to make sure that, and we have to let the government know that in your case, you do not need a labor certification. And after that, once if the I-140 is approved, good news, do the visa processing. You can come with your spouse and your children under 21 if you qualify for a green card under this category. But remember one thing, folks, only if you're Mr. Brilliant, you're well known, then think about this category. But if you just had those awards on basic school level, this may not be it for you. You need to show that you are special. You need to show that you are unique, and you need to show that you are extraordinary. And if you are that Mr. Special, then you need to look into this category. Doesn't mean that all of you have to be winners of the Nobel Prize, but you should be somewhere on the top, like, Mr. Well-known, that, you're known, like when you walk, on the street, that basically, yes, this guy is Mr. Famous. That's what you need to start thinking. Mr. Famous can be by means of publications, can be by means of your newspaper cuttings, that you've been very well known and everything. Mr. Famous might be someone who's judged all these top international conferences. He's participated in these major competitions, example, dancing competitions, acting competitions. You've featured in major movies, or or you've been kind of written up a lot in newspapers, scientific journals, in the arts, in medicine. So the category is wide open. So you can look into those issues, and I believe that can really help a lot to people who are looking at living in America on a green card. Now, if you're from India and from other countries such as China, you can apply, but there'll be a waiting period. So you should definitely consider from there too, and that's going to be very helpful. Now, we did a case for a national interest waiver for somebody who actually was a spiritual guru. Now, imagine what a title that is. And we succeeded because the guru said that he wants to preach about peace. And that the thing is that peace is very much lacking, but he demonstrated it with a very high level by showing that, the thing is that he's spoken at the United Nations, he's spoken at top conferences in the world, and he went for conferences. Sometimes you get an invitation. Sometimes people do not grab the opportunity. It's better for all of you to grab the opportunity. And once you have that opportunity, then after that, you're making a difference. So people might be looking at this video and saying, yes, Mr. Gehi, can I start from today? Yes, you can start from today. Make sure that if you have this charisma in you, example, you're a magician. I'm taking an example of a magician, and basically performed in so many countries in the world. Think about these categories. Think about the EB1. You're well known, you're highly educated, you're teaching magic. It's a science to teach magic too. You're teaching about hypnotism. You're talking about the human mind. You're a brilliant psychologist. You're a brilliant professor in a university. So there are endless ways for you. And I've seen people who have decent credentials, I'm saying, and they have been successful in the EB1A category. And people take this category very lightly, and don't take it lightly. And I think a lot of you who are looking at the show may have actually been in this category. So also we are going to open up the floor for questions. And if you have any questions, I'm going to ask Dan to kind of open up the questions, I believe. So, Amin, are there any questions today?
Hey, good evening. I have a question. What's the timeline for this one?
Okay, the question is that the good news is for some countries, the category is current. So if the category is current, then exactly we can apply immediately. Once it's approved, then you can also apply for the 485 if you're in the US, and you can qualify for the green card. But if you're abroad, the good thing is what can be done in this instance is that you get the I-140 approved. Then after that, you proceed with, I would say, the visa processing. For example, if a person is in Canada right now, he can actually get this approved. And once if the I-140 is approved, the good thing is then you can just apply for the green card. If you realize you did not need a sponsor, your credentials were so good that immigration approved you, then after that, it's welcome to America. But you have to be extraordinary. Means you should be meeting that bar that you are someone who's special, unique, and extraordinary. And it's good for a lawyer to look into your credentials and then decide about the EB1 or the EB2 national interest waiver category. And as I mentioned earlier, you can actually also qualify for both the categories at times.
What will be the fee for this one?
I think it depends on a case-by-case basis, and it's not very expensive. But at the end of the day, if people are ready to put in the hard work, the dedication, and the time, this can take them a long way, I believe. And the best way to reach me, as you know, is to info@gehilaw.com. And you can also call us, but sometimes if a call takes a little longer, you reach us definitely at info@gehilaw.com or at 718-263-5999.
Thank you so much. Like, just give a ballpark for EB1, EB2. What will be the timeline and cost approximately?
You're looking at around a 1-year timeline and everything. And also, like, the cost is, as I said, depends on your qualifications, I believe, because it depends on the level of work, but it can be reasonable. But generally, because of the attorney-client issues also, I would rather prefer looking at your case and then exactly deciding as to how much the firm will be charging you. And we've handled cases under EB1. We've handled cases under the EB2 national interest waiver category.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So folks, there are questions coming in. And if any of you have any questions, the floor is open, and ask us your question and we'll be happy to answer you.
There is a question, difference between EB1 and EB2.
Okay, so EB1A, it's meant for people who are extraordinary ability aliens, which means like people, example, just one of them is someone who's won a Nobel Prize. You don't even have to worry about the other requirements. And under EB1A, you have to show that you published a lot of materials and your work is very well known. And thirdly, your peers are ready to write for you. And fourthly, we can even show that you've been a judge of other competitions or so. And these are some of the factors that are considered in the EB1A. And for EB1B, you're an outstanding researcher and publisher, which means your work has been very well known. You have around a lot of publications in your favor, and you're highly educated. And plus, there are people who are ready to vouch for the wonderful work which you're doing. So that's under EB1A, and you judge people very similar. And the next category is going to be for the national interest waiver, and that's meant for people who want to show that their work relates to substantial merit is the key word in understanding the national interest waiver. And on that, if we can show that the person's work is about substantial merit, that is going to help a lot. So again, I'm going to repeat the importance of this category. Anytime you think about sponsoring yourself without a green card, without an employer, anytime you're thinking about applying for a green card without an employer, think about like if you're Mr. Brilliant, you're a PhD holder, you have these fantastic publications, and you've spoken at these top conferences, not at the minor level, at an international level, or at a very senior national level, and your work was like published in major magazines, international magazines, or in major top newspapers, and you can make a difference. These are factors, and generally what immigration is looking at is that I don't mind giving you a green card, but I want to see what you bring to the table. And once if they see that you are Mr. Brilliant, and if you're doing very well, then I'm sure that exactly this can be very, very beneficial for people. Any more questions, I believe? So if there are any more questions, I know it was Memorial Day and people didn't think that we'll be having the show, but definitely be having the show today. And again, remember, we are also going to talk about some other issues. It's going to be the E1 visa and the E2 visa. So next week, it's a very important show for people from different countries in the world. And if you are in the United States, or if you're outside the United States, we are going to first talk about the E1 treaty trader. And what is a treaty trader? It's someone who is right now sitting in a foreign country, and that country is a part of the E1 program or the E2 visa program. First, you need to look up whether your country falls under the E1 visa program or it falls under the E2 visa program. E1 is meant for treaty traders, and the E2 visa is meant for investors. So sometimes there are people, who actually trade with the United States. For example, you are right now in Turkey. I'm just taking an example first, check whether your country is a part of the E2 visa. And I think it is, Turkey is. So now you have this company wherein you are exporting garments into America and you have a lot of buyers for your products in the United States. Talk to me about the E1 category. You're looking at, you're a garment exporter. If you're exporting machinery, if you're exporting technology, and, India is not a part of the E1 treaty trader program. Pakistan is, Trinidad is, I believe, and E2, which means that if you have the money to invest in the United States, then you can think about the E2 visa category. This is critically important for people who are looking at actually kind of investing in the United States and basically trying to start their business and making sure that they want to grow in America. And the good thing about the E1 and the E2 visa category is that your spouse can also come in with you. And remember, it's a non-immigrant visa category, which means that you can work in the United States. Your spouse and your children under 21 will be allowed to come in and stay with you, and they can go to school in America. So this is the beauty of the E1 category as well as the E2 category. So the good news is that Canada is a part. So Canada is a part of the E1 treaty trader and E2 treaty investor category. So if you are in Canada and if you are in the trucking business and if you're doing regular business with America and you want to have a presence in America, this may be your way. Or if you're doing some other kind of business, but regularly you're trading with the United States, then the e-visa can be very helpful to you folks. So folks, these are some of the questions we had today. And if you have any other questions, we have kept the floor open. Please do ask us if you have any questions, and I'll take a short break from you folks to see if you have any questions. We'll wait for the questions. Okay, the question is that what is the relationship between these visas and being a business owner? So if you're a business owner, first look at the country where you are. And if you want to come to America, and it would be great if you could tell me the country where you are from, so we can try to find a solution for you. If you're a business owner, you can consider the E1 visa, you should consider the E2 visa, or you should consider the L1 visa for sure. So business owners look into different kinds of visas such as E1, E2, as well as the L1A, which can be a great basis for you to establish your business in the United States. But make sure that you have a decent size business, that you are a successful businessman. And that's what I would look into these instances. So this is something very good that we are getting a lot of questions over here from our viewers. Keep asking us questions. And this is a live show. So you still have around two more minutes, and we'll be happy to take the questions. And remember, our next live show is on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, we'll be happy to take the questions and answer our viewers for sure. So any more questions, please? And I would request you to ask them so we can answer. So next week, we are going to talk about, on Wednesday, we are talking about the E1 visa that applies to treaties with countries that the United States has. And we are going to talk about the E2 visas, which is the treaty trader. And if the topic becomes too big, then we're going to split it up into two parts. But before you go, if you are famous, if you are well known, how do the codes work during COVID? Okay, So during COVID, only emergency applications are being accepted by the court, and USCIS is still accepting applications. The Board of Immigration Appeals is still kind of, they're still giving decisions in critical matters. So things are happening. So things have not come to a standstill completely. For example, asylum cases are going on. We are filing them. Marriage-based immigration cases are going on. We've been applying for B2 extensions. We've been applying for change of status. So if you are about to lose your status, you have to make sure that you contact a lawyer who can work with you to make sure that you do not lose your status. So that is going to be critically important for each one of us to make sure that we stay in touch. And remember, info@gehilaw.com and 718-263-5999. And unfortunately, because of COVID, if you're unable to answer at 718-263-5999, remember info@gehilaw.com, and we'll be happy to take your questions and answer them. And we'll be back again on Wednesday, this Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. live with Attorney Gehi. Remember, Green Card with Gehi every Mondays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned. The instant program constitutes an attorney advertisement, and the advice given during the show is general in nature and does not apply to any particular set of circumstances unless an attorney-client relationship is established by the parties. Thank you. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay blessed.